Super Smash Bros. Melee has over time become one of the most synonymous fighting games in history. Its unique mechanics and style has created a cult following that has withstood the test of time, allowing it to remain relevant even to this day on the tournament circuit, with entries being made each year. And with the upcoming release of the Nintendo Switch, people have been speculating on the possibility of a HD remake for Melee being made for it. So I just wanted to give my thoughts on what I could see in a Melee remake. Now before I start, I have to admit, I don't have a lot of experience with Melee at all. My first Smash Bros. Game was actually Brawl. I never properly played Melee, and never got into the competitive scene either, but I'm pretty well versed on the mechanics and its appeal. The reason Melee is as popular as it is due to the unique mechanics that cannot be found in any other Smash game. Things like wave dashing, L cancelling, and other subtle techniques has culminated in a game that provides some of the most fastest and controlled fighting game experiences. Obviously, for a remake to be successful, these mechanics need to remain untouched. Same would have to go for any balance changes. The Melee community, while devoted, are a stubborn bunch. Any slight tweak to their beloved character will probably cause them to write the game off entirely. This creates problems in itself though. Would Melee remain stuck in the past and never get any form of updates at all? What do you think? If you're familiar with Melee at all, would you want any balance changes, and what kind of changes would you want to see? They could also update the graphics, not to the extent of Smash 4, but a stylized upgrade in the same vein as Wind Waker HD. They could add new textures, shading, update the character models so they look more modern, streamline the user interface, and brighten up the entire game overall, as Melee tends to look a lot darker in contrast. Smash 4's character models are a mix between Brawl's realism and Melee's cartoony look, so Melee's graphical upgrade should adhere closer to the more cartoon style of the characters. As for any new features, I don't see them adding any new characters or stages, since they're mostly saved that for Smash 4, if they could. I could see them adding additional content to Adventure Mode perhaps, but the biggest change would obviously be online support. Create a robust online in the reigns of Super Smash 4, if not better, and you got yourself a winner here. Speaking of Smash 4, this brings up another issue. Would releasing a Melee remake cannibalize sales of a Smash 4 port? If they release a full-blown retail remake, possibly, depending on when they release it relative to the Smash 4 port. However, if they simply release it for Virtual Console, and there have been a lot of rumors of that just happening, it probably wouldn't make too much of an impact. Releasing a Virtual Console port of Melee would simply make the game more accessible to the current competitive scene, and introduce new players into the fray. I think the most important thing to remember is not to underestimate how desperate Nintendo is of making this console a success. They fucked up with the Wii U badly, and they know it. And they do not want to make the same mistakes for the Switch, and if that means getting into bed with one of the most stubborn yet dedicated fanbase, they will do it, and I honestly hope they do. If you have your own thoughts on what you'd like to see from a Melee remake, sound off in the comments below. Leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you all next time.